all the people that I work with were the gurus or the internet professionals and this and that from the biggest names out there, but they're coming to me for the information.
Quote unquote, the secret is to simply see your life coming to you, feel it, see it, hear it, all the above, and repeat that almost to where you feel like you're going a little crazy sometimes, and then being patient.
Because I want to be able to go back to different neighborhoods and different places and make something that's solid for anyone to do, either from my mom to my grandmother to anyone. I want anyone to be able to do it. And so that's when Amazon came about and I created the system.
When we stop believing in ourselves, we put ourselves in really dark places.
Spirituality and capitalism belong together. Those thoughts, those feelings, that comes from something bigger than I am. And together I believe we can all grow. That's how we're going to change the world. That's how we're going to change the planet.
Man, I want to say that I'm so excited to have you here. Like today I've got in the office, in the Spiritual Capitalist studio here, and what an honor it is. I've been wanting to have this conversation for a while now, and so I appreciate you taking the journey to come out here to sit with me and talk about some incredible things we're going to talk about today. Everything from where you've been, how you've got here, technology, AI, robotics. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, you're one of the, you're just such a unique individual when it comes to technology, but more importantly than just technology, combining that with spirituality. And our path has been such an interesting one. So just to give a little bit of a background to those that are paying attention here to this conversation, about roughly a year ago, you and I somehow had connected on social media. And I started watching a lot of your posts, and you were talking about, for years about crypto, and then you were talking about robotics, and then you were talking about virtual reality, and then you were talking about basically how to connect AI with physical things. And so you've been having these conversations for a long time. And the reason I thought it was important to bring you out here to the studio is because I watched a post that you put up and you said, hey, listen, I'm looking for beta testers. I've got this program I built for Amazon. And if you're willing to basically believe in me, I'm going to believe in you and I'm going to do everything I can to help you. And I thought, cool, there's something about this guy I like, because you were talking a lot about spirituality and it really felt like we were just kind of on the same page. And then what ends up happening is it gets a little bit more fascinating as I said, okay, so I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And I believe I put about $5,000 into it at that time just to get everything set up, or for the store. Actually, it was $6,000, I believe. So the $6,000 to get the store set up. And then from there, what was even more interesting is that myself and my team, somehow or another, we dropped the ball. Like we completely dropped the ball. And I know that happens in life. But then the reason I have you here is because you reached out to me maybe 6-7 months ago and you said, hey, Dalton, what's going on with your store, brother? Like, what are you doing? And I go, you know what, man, that's not on you. That's on me. We mixed up. Like there was too many things going on. And you said, if you'll just trust in me, I'm going to help you get to where you want to go. Because the conversation we had before all of that is, I said, listen, we have the Spiritual Capitalist. I want to find something that people can eventually do, that they can get their time back, their energy back, that they can bring in some finances, but they don't have to have a business degree. They don't have to have a bunch of employees. And you're like, I think I have something. I've been working really hard on that. So I'm going to leave the audience with that right there. But welcome. I appreciate you coming out again.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Nobody here knows who you are. You've been the man behind the curtain for a long time. And actually, I think this is the first time you've actually maybe been out publicly to show people like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. And so I know that can be a little nerve-wracking, right? Like for the first time. But tell me about your background a little bit.
Well, I've been into technology since I was a kid. Like I just love technology. It just came to me naturally when I was younger. It took some things to get involved into technology. I wasn't just automatically involved, but circumstances led me to understanding it and start creating things and things like that. So we take it back way to the 90s if you want to start back there.
Sure, we can go all the way back to the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, the 90s was like a critical stage for me. Like that was when I was a young child, dabbling in different techs and stuff. So I remember when I first got my first computer, I was just so excited. Like it was I think it was before 46 computers. It was a 386 and it was a 46. And I didn't even have the Pentium chip yet. The Pentium was like a big deal. Like I was like, I don't have a Pentium chip yet, but it was pretty awesome. But what led me to get those systems is because when I was originally born in Detroit, Michigan. We'll talk about a lot of that stuff probably later. But
We
when
can
I
get into it
moved,
now, man.
yeah,
We just jump right into it.
I mean, if you want to,
Let's go.
So, like, I'm originally born from Detroit. I was raised by my mom. I had a father that wasn't really in the picture. So I had a very strong mother. Went to college, did everything the right way. Just wanted to move me out of Detroit. At a young age, my dad was murdered. Unfortunately, in the streets, like things happen. I mean, but when you're at that age, at my age, it was before I was 10 years old, and you would think like as a 10-year-old child, a 10-year-old child doesn't know a lot. But in inner cities and different areas, when you're used to seeing certain things happen, or when you've seen dead bodies or a dead body before, or when you experience these different traumas in life, like it's not the same. Like a lot of people don't understand that people are experiencing trauma every single day in these places, whether it's gang violence, whether it's drugs or whatever it may be. But making it out that is like a big deal because you always say, well, why don't people make it out? So that like just we're going to go back to that. But that's what made me who I am today. Because after all that stuff happened, my mom was like, I just want to take my child out of the situation. Like, I want him to grow up somewhere differently. So she always had the dreams to move to California. That was just like her dream. The rest of the family was like, no, you can't move to California. So when she raised me, she literally took a bus. She didn't have a car. She went to school full time, and I was in daycare. And then she got a criminal justice degree. After she got a criminal justice degree, she was like, okay, I'm moving to California. So she moved to California. I moved with her. We met my stepdad later on. And I remember when I first met my stepdad, it was kind of hard because I never had a man figure in my life. It was just me, my grandma, my 3 aunts. So I have a real heart like towards like women who raise kids by themselves, or just the respect. I always knew that I had to have respect for women because I've seen the problems my aunts went through. I've seen the problems my mom went through with certain characters that were around. So as I got older, you know, when I moved to California, I think I was like in 3rd grade. My stepdad, we all lived together, and I remember there's a few critical things happening. They came home one day, they were working at a place, and I was just I was wild. I was bad. Like, I was just doing devious things. I was a misled child. I didn't know what to do. I was like getting into small troubles all the time. The teachers were always saying he's a bad kid, but they didn't understand it was because I was just bored. Like, the stuff that they were teaching in schools were just repetitive. It was the same stuff. So even my teachers now, they're like, yeah, you were always trying to figure out different things. So I wasn't just a bad kid. It was just they weren't challenging me enough. That's what I figured out when I was older. So my dad comes on one day. I call him, he's my stepdad. I could say dad, there's no steps.
Yeah.
My dad came home. They had a computer. They dropped it off. It was from their company. They're like, we won this. He was a good salesperson. So they won this computer. And I was like, And then I looked at it, and then they just had it there. They didn't know what to do with it. They weren't tech savvy. And so that was the first time I actually read a book. I read the whole MS-DOS book, and then I read it was like Windows 3.1, I think. And then I was like, okay, let me really dive into this. Like, that was the first thing that grabbed my attention. So I just started. I never read. I wasn't a reader at all. But for some odd reason, this technology stuff came to me. And to go back, you know, what's crazy? My mom said my dad, before he was murdered, he had an honorable discharge from the military. But he used to always talk about technology. And he used to always, my mom says, he used to always say that, you know, computers are going to be a big thing in the future. So that was my real dad, my biological dad. And so I guess that probably came from his side. That's what she says, because he was into that before he got into trouble with other things. So I just kind of like veered to it. And so I put together this computer, added all the software. I started messing around and programming, like with Q Basics and things like that. And that was the first thing that really drew my attention. So everything just expanded from there. I just started going deep. Like, that was the first time I had a portal to the world. So I remember when I started creating things called bulletin board systems. BBSs were really big back in the day. Those are like the portals before AOL, before Prodigy, before CompuServe. It was these things called bulletin board systems where people would connect to your server. It would be connected, you know, old school, like the phone's connected to it. Like, if your parents pick up the phone, then it disconnects your old internet service. So I started making these systems, but I made servers that people were connecting to, but the people started connecting all over the world. So we started playing games. It was a game called Lord. It was like this crazy role-playing game called Lord that you can win money and all this stuff. It wasn't real money. And then it was like ways to, they used to call it wars back in the day. So I had one of the biggest servers that everyone used to come to my servers and download all the games and all that stuff, because I used to show people how to pirate games and get it for free and all that stuff. So I just started like really diving deep into that. And then like moving forward, like when I was
what was it that caught you about that? I mean,
it was just
like, why? Like all this, I mean, that is the craziest story to think that you've got this young kid, mom and dad drop off a a box of parts basically for a computer, and they're like, I don't know what to do. And you're like, oh, well, me neither. And you pick up this book, and this is literally the first book you've ever read, which for most people, that would probably be like watching paint dry on a wall for the most part. But for you, it's like there's something that captivates you about this. Why?
I
Like,
have
what
no
happened?
idea. I think now that I look back, I don't know. I was like a robot in another era. I don't know. I just really believe in like computers and technology. It's just something in my soul that's like connected to tech at a higher level. I just don't understand it. I don't know where it came from. But I just like, that's why when I recognize new technology patterns, I can see different things that it's just like, I have dreams about technology and the future and all that stuff, like sci-fi type stuff. So I don't know. It just came to me and I just jumped into it. And that was the first time I realized I liked it. And then in my other life, it was weird because even when I was going through junior high and high school, like all my teachers still thought I was like this rebellious kid. But I was like, had one of the biggest computer forums out there. So even in computer classes, I was already hacking grades and stuff and changing people grades. But the teachers
You're
would
that guy.
yeah, they
Got it.
never looked at me because I was into hip hop. I used to perform like at underground circus. I was into underground hip hop. So it wasn't mainstream. I didn't like mainstream back then. But it was more about because I believe that music and rhythm and words was a way to it was almost like poetry to me. So I used to write poetry, then I used to freestyle. We used to go on circuit like Black Eyed Peas and groups like that.
Love Black
Before
Eyed
they were
Peas.
big,
Yeah.
like we used to perform at these little places. So everyone seen me as a person that was like into graffiti, hip hop DJing and hip hop. Like we were break dancers. We had a whole crew, break dancers and everything. But they didn't know I had this other side was like this computer nerd because I had this like I was just hip hop, but they didn't know this side. So when I would hack grades and stuff, like the teachers and principals would never know it was me. No one ever knew that I knew smart. I was like computer smart and I knew how to do these things.
So
and
did you
that's how I
play?
kept
Did
it.
you play dumb in school?
I would say not dumb, but when you're in certain areas, it's like you just roll with the people that you're with.
Got it.
So my friends, my close friends knew who I was. So not to make it like dark or whatever, I just knew I was always into trying to help people. So when I came from the bad areas in life, I used to always say, you guys don't have to do these things that you're doing to make money. There's ways that you can figure it out with technology. So I used to always try to explain to people that. So as I got older, I always found myself going into the dark side of the world and trying to figure out systems that I can create to pull people from the streets and to learn how to use technology as a way to grow. So I'm like, if you're selling this, you can sell this and not get in trouble. Like, if
Right.
you're doing that, why not put it in technology? Why not build a
Because these
business?
are your friends, your family, these
Yeah.
are your community, and you're
Like
seeing
people
what they're
that I knew.
doing to survive.
Mhm.
You know, there's a line that I think Tupac said many years ago, and it's like, why'd you sell crack?
Mhm.
It's like, because I had to.
Yeah.
Because I need to pay the rent. There's a couple other words that are said in there that I'm not going to repeat, but that's the reality. And so for you, what it sounds like then is that you started to see these things going on, and you were trying to figure out a way to break people free from all of these other choices they've been making. And instead of doing it this way, you wanted to move them into technology. How did people respond to that?
Well, at first, it didn't. I just kept to my own path. So we had a big crew in California. So a lot of my people broke off and started. They became big, like in the music world. They became pretty big. I'm not going to mention names. But the DJs in California, the things. So everyone was musically inclined. Everyone did things. So it's not like they didn't do good. Everyone
Right.
did pretty well. All of my friends were good people. And they were just, trying to figure out how to make it and how to do things. But they were like, we were born like, so when I first came out, I went to a private school. And it was just like, it's funny because I went from like being in an all black environment to like the private school. I was the only black kid and it was kindergarten and 12th grade. So they also treated me like almost like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They're like, either they loved me or hated me. So they're like, I was at a young age, you're going to play football, you're going to play basketball. Oh. It's like all of these different things they wanted me to do. But it was fun because I dove into an environment where it was different. It was diverse. It was like I went from one to another. But that helped me out as I got older because then when we moved to Riverside County, it was more diverse. It was like everyone. It was like whether it's Asian, white, black, whatever. So all of my friends have always been well diverse. But that also helped me because some people don't know how to jump out of their boxes and communicate with certain people. But that's one of the advantages that I learned. So to get back on my point, a lot of the people that I grew up with, they chose their path. But I knew for me, I had to leave because my goal was to live in Orange County. Like that was one of the biggest things. Like, okay, I'm in Riverside, but Orange County was like the place. Like I want to one day live in Irvine and Newport Beach. So
Because you want to be by the beach, right?
yeah,
you were sharing that with me
and
last night.
and that made me that was my way of saying I made it. Like most of us are not on that side, so that's what I always wanted to do at first. So when I was 17, I think that's when I got my MCSE. My mom wanted me to go to college, but I started to go to college, but I dropped out because I was like, I just want the fast track. So I got my certifications, like A plus certification, MCSC. So I stopped doing programming and all that stuff, and I focused on building computers and networking, going into Cisco, Novell servers and all that. So about the time I was 17, I was working for like CompuServe. 18, I was working for Kaiser Hospital. And Kaiser Hospital, everyone was older, but everyone had degrees. So I've always been taught by my parents, like, as long as you articulate well, as long as you speak well, you can fit in with anyone else. It doesn't matter your background or anything. So I would just really come in there like I was college educated, like I had my master's degree, and I would speak well, and I would talk to the people at the top all the time. Whether it's everyone's afraid to talk to the executives. I would be 18, like going into their offices, like, hey, I never had a fear of that. So the people who had positions that had degrees, I didn't, but they thought I did. But I was 18 running stuff, like running network departments and stuff. Then I worked for Boeing and all these different places.
You're like that child prodigy.
Yeah, I was
completely.
just really into it. If I had more, if my parents started me off, I could have done a lot more. But all the steps that I took, it took me to where I am today. Because after I was doing the corporate world, because I moved out at 18. As soon as I turned 18, I was like, all right, guys, I'm gone. Where did I move? I moved to Orange County because I always knew that I was going to go there. So as a child, because I didn't have a dad, my person that I looked up to, because my grandparents always still had me going to church and stuff. So I'm not like a religious person, but I knew that there was a higher power. So I used to always pray and almost manifest things before this whole big shift of creating and manifestation came out.
Tell me about that. We had this conversation last night at dinner. We had some really beautiful conversations last night at dinner. It's almost like I wish we'd just been recording our dinner last night. But tell me about like what that was like, or what that is like for you. Talk about prayer, and you talk about manifestation, right? Kind of one and the same. Explain to people that are not really familiar with what it is that you're referring to.
Well, when I was younger, I've always prayed because I know that there is a higher creator. And then I got involved in religion. I'm not going to say what religion I was involved with, but it's a pretty popular religion. But we used to read the Bible a lot. Like, I was just a Bible reader. Like, I just understood, because I was going through so much chaos when it was me and my stepdad. Like, I was kind of rebellious. And so like he was at a certain stage in his life, but I would say when he got more involved spiritually, it changed the way he was. And then I changed because things were peaceful in the household. So with that being said, like, and we have an amazing connection. Before he passed away, like, me and my father, we were really close. So when I was in religion, like, or not even in religion, when I was into like praying, I always knew that I could create things. So when I was by myself, like as a kid, and I didn't have any leadership or whatever, I didn't have a man in my life, a father or anything, I used to just pray. I used to be like, hey, God, like, this is what I want to do today. Like, blah, blah, blah. This is what I want to create. So I always had this personal relationship with God, regardless of what religion I was in, because I knew that I always felt that I was a special person since I was a kid. And I used to always read the Bible scripture that said, like, fatherless childs were just like, they're different. Like, it's like, I'm a fatherless child. I don't have a father, but my father was the creator of the universe. So I just really took like the things that I learned in a different way. Like, whether it's talking about Jesus, I felt that, okay, he's teaching people that you can use these powers, these superpowers that he was able to attain, but no one really paid attention. They were more worried about worshiping him than like listening to his steps. For me, I'm like, no, if he's saying you can do this, I can do this. Like, he's giving us the steps. He's giving you the roadmap to do it. And it wasn't just him. It was across the board. Like, when I started reading other versions, like, okay, I was only reading the Bible. Then my friends who were like reading the Quran, and then my friends who were reading the Torah, I just started really listening to like what everyone was saying. And I'm like, man, like, we're on this earth, and I feel that I have a superpower, and I feel that like I can attract and I can make anything in my life. And then 2006 came, and that's when the Secret came out, I believe, in 2006 with Bob Proctor and all that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was involved in like the copyright portion of it. Like, my friends were connected to it, so I was helping them out. I was always behind the scenes. I helped them out, work on some of the things that they were working on with The Secret. And I was like, this is just like marketing. Like, it's just a marketing. Like, The Secret was an amazing marketing campaign that was created, that was pushed out to help people understand the law of attraction. Then if you go deeper, it was like Abraham Hicks and all them. They were like the ones that were really teaching it. So I just started to learn that. And I was like, this is what I already do. So like,
really?
when I was creating things, it's weird with technology and like spirituality and certain things, that when I talk to the highest people that's been to school for this and that and that, it's like I realized like I do this stuff naturally, and I don't even know why I do it or how I've done it. So even when I was rapping, like, I would freestyle my affirmations down. I would like say, this is what I want to create. So I love music. I love the way that it makes you vibe. Music is very powerful. it connects to you. That's why if it's used in a bad way, just like the hip hop community now, they took over the music and made certain lyrics and stuff to advertise, like whether it's drink, whether it's taking drugs, Percocet, and all that stuff, because it makes you mentally, it mesmerizes you. It's a meditative state. So like when I used to write things that I wanted to manifest. I'll freestyle it to the dopest beat that I love.
You got an example of that in your
Nah.
heart? Come on, you got to have it
Heck
somewhere.
nah,
Come
we're
on,
not
come on,
gonna
come
go
on,
there.
come on, come on.
No.
No, huh? You're not going to let it? Come on, let us hear it.
Put on the beat. I'll freestyle. No, I'm joking.
I'm sure we can find one. I'm sure I can get one of those guys to find while we're doing this right now.
Not doing it.
Not doing that. Okay.
We'll do that.
I had to
restaurant.
ask, right?
We'll do it afterwards.
Wait,
No.
I'm like,
But no, I'm kidding. So I start writing it down, and I start realizing that if I write my manifestations in written word and freestyle it to a beat that I like and listen to it overnight, like I was able to create things. So I started creating a diary to see when, because I knew I was making things, but what started to happen the best for me is writing down. So I'll be like, day one, I wrote this down. And it took me 2 years to actually get this. And I look back, oh my gosh. And then I start understanding, okay, how can I make it so I can attract and create things faster? So I started doing that. And then I was like, it's funny, when I seen your podcast about remote viewing, I don't even know how I got involved. Like that was early 2000s. I was reading Jose Silva. And Jose Silva was remote viewing. So I was listening to binaural beats, him and say, I don't even know how I came
it's
across
like
this
our journey
Like-
is so interesting. It's very different, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, I believe music is something that can absolutely program us because it's so emotional. But I would do some of the similar thing, and I would write down like all the things I'm going to accomplish, how I'm going to accomplish, all of it, full on story. I would record it. Then I would use, I was telling you this before, and I would use different like affirmations coming in one ear and then the other ear, and I played on repeat and go to bed for years. And I've created that reality. Now, does that mean that reality was created because we put it into our reality? Does it mean because we're aware of that reality? Does it mean that because there was something higher in power that was bringing that to us, or all of it? I think it's yes and, right? Like it's all the above. If I wouldn't have been walking towards it, or you wouldn't have been walking towards it, it wouldn't have been walking towards you.
Right.
But the power of the mind and the power of what we put into our mind and into our bodies and into like this vessel is so damn powerful that
It is.
if people really knew that, like if they really knew that the quote unquote the secret is to simply see your life coming to you, feel it, see it, hear it, all the above, and repeat that almost to where you feel like you're going a little crazy sometimes, and then being patient. Maybe for you it was like this. For me, it's about patience, right? Things take time and energy, and sometimes you fell and you pick yourself back up. But you're this like child prodigy that's bringing in all this information. One of the things I loved about what you said last night is that there's a lot of people in the world that have seen that they will use their background. They will use their skin tone. They will use their fatherless experience. They will use all of the things that are literally pushed against for someone to be successful. If you look at it, right? If you look at all the things that could stack up to be against them. And you told me that, listen, I would call up these, just tell the audience, you would call Fortune 500 companies, CEOs. I mean, this is a different time period, right? But I still think it's important that we recount that if people are sitting at home and they find an excuse, whatever that excuse is, I don't care what it is, but if they find an excuse not to do said thing, maybe they ought to look a little differently. Maybe they ought to approach it from a different angle, because there's always a solution, always.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's always setbacks in life, and everyone's setback is different from each person.
Of course.
When I was younger, I was into technology, but I didn't fit the profile of someone that should be into technology. And so I fit the profile of someone who should be playing basketball or rapping or doing all these other things. So when I created technologies, the reason I became so good with my design work and with my technology is because I would talk to a CEO, and my mom always told me, like, you got to speak well, you got to speak properly, you can't let them know who you are just by, your voice, because back in those days, unfortunately it was racism, and if you sounded too black, then they were like, nah, this person doesn't fit the qualifications of what we feel is right.
Right.
But that's because it's not their fault. It's just because what we've been programmed to think and believe. So if you're in an area and you have a bad experience with a certain type of person, and you don't have any other types of those people, then you're going to think all of these people are the same. Or if you're watching TV and there's like Boys in the Hood or some stuff on TV and they're acting ratchet or this and that, you're going to say the whole community is like that.
Especially in the 90s.
But they're not like that. Yeah,
Right.
There's so many intelligent people from all different shades. So I will come up with great ideas. I'll come up with a marketing plan and all the greatest things. And they'll say, yeah, come in. Like, I love this. I want to see you. Like, blah, blah, blah. And I walk in and they're just looking at me like, are you serious? And so like they will find an excuse not to work with me because they didn't think I had the qualifications. So what I started to do was like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this the best ever. There's no way it's not gonna be amazing. So by design, by content, by everything that I give to you, it's gonna suck you in. And once I bring it to you and give it to you, even if you don't like me, you have no choice but to work with me because my work is so solid. And that's how I became better and better. So when it comes to putting up websites or when it comes to working in marketing, I was like that. Like this is how it started off. Like I was just like, I just made sure mine was the best. Like it had to be the best. It had to look the best. It had to sound the best. There was no margin for error. It wasn't gonna look bootleg. It wasn't gonna have anything but greatness. So I forced people to work with me. And then by the time they tried to deny me, like my work spoke for itself. So they couldn't
So
deny it.
strong, so powerful, so that your work is so good that you cannot deny me. That's a powerful statement right there. That is something I think we can all learn from. And that is to make something so wonderful that the world and something of such excellence that the world cannot stop but notice you. Absolutely. And it doesn't matter race, creed, age, nothing. It just is, does this promise enough and does it deliver what I say I'm going to do?
Absolutely.
That's amazing. And then from there, you go on to work with, I mean, we won't get into all the names because I don't think that your clients would want to know or they'd want everybody to know. But you've been behind the scenes with extremely large launches. We already talked about The Secret. There's, lots of gurus and network marketing companies and all of these things. But what you told me last night was like, I've been building all these systems. And unfortunately, a lot of the people behind these systems, they end up tainting them because whether they're over-promising or under-delivering, that you finally got kind of tired of it.
Yeah. I'm like I would say it's funny because my influence isn't large at all. Like if you look at my profile, it's just a normal profile because I call myself like I don't even like to use the word guru, but it's almost like the guru behind a guru. Like the fact that like all the people that I work with were the gurus or the internet professionals and this and that from the biggest names out there, but they're coming to me for the information.
Right.
Because back in it, like now I could take it out, but back in the day I couldn't be that guru. I couldn't be that face. And it could have been insecurities with myself too. Maybe I just didn't want to put myself out there. So I use this crutch and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put you in front of me. You're the face, and like I'll give you all the technology. So I'll tell you what to create, I'll tell you what to make. But the problem is that everyone that I worked already knew what my pattern was. I will make this person $5 to $20 million, depends on what it is, especially when Bitcoin came. The biggest network marketing companies, all of them called me to create it. Every time I create something, it's weird, the Bitcoin network marketing companies, they had it's like these tilting points that they wanted me to program in it where after a certain amount of dollars come in, boom, it crashes. That was the shady part. I'm like, this is messed up. But then like there's always people who act like they have the right, like they're coming to do the things the right way. So they say, Reggie, I want to build this platform. I want to do this. I want to do that. So I create this amazing platform. It looks good. They'll do their thing. I tell them how to market it, how to take it out there. We're getting so much money that comes in. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're going to pivot. Like, we're not going to do Bitcoin anymore. We're going to do CBD now. Or we're going to do this. I'm like, I just created this fantastic system for you. You sold this to all your investor friends. You brought in millions of dollars. So yeah, I still made like 300,000 or 200,000 or whatever it may be. But they were always making the millions, and we'll just step away, and then I have to start something new. So I had to take accountability for myself and say, I'm attracting these people on purpose, obviously. Why do I keep finding these guru after guru after guru after guru that I already know what they're going to do and how they're going to do it? And I'm okay with it because I'm still getting my cut and I don't have to take responsibility for it. So maybe that was an easy way for me to say I don't have to worry about what comes after, and I already know what they're going to do. So they're thinking they're calling me, but I already know what the situation is going to be.
Because the hard part for you is not actually like building the technology. Like that's not the hard part for you at all. That's the easy part for you is building the technology. But I think a lot in business in general, the hard part truly is when you are not just creating something, but then you have to manage it and you have to like be accountable for it. And you have to do all of these things. What was inside of you that you finally recognized that, okay, this is why I'm attracting these types of people into my space?
Well, I think I was stuck in a cycle, like a repeat cycle that I created for myself. I was cool with a certain amount or getting a certain amount. I was cool with what was coming, but maybe it was everyone has their own personal highs and lows.
Everybody.
So there's a few things I wanted to, like the first thing that we talk about, how everyone's completely different. Once I start to realize, like, and I always knew this, not one person's way is the best way. Like, everyone has their own way. I think the biggest thing in this world is that everyone thinks because something works for me and something's successful for me, that means it's going to be the same for everyone else. And if you're not doing it my way, then it's not the right way. But I start to realize I was hanging out with all the super wealthy and this and that until I became one. And I realized that everyone had their own template, that everyone had their own system. So even with the things that I was doing, like, and what I noticed about people, like somebody might be stuck at 5 million or 10 million or 15 million or 30 million or trying to hit $1 billion. Like, everyone has their own personal limit. So I was just stuck at my own personal limit. I did so well. It was like easy for me to just relax, because everything that I've created in my life has come, I don't want to say extremely easy.
Now, watch how hard you work. I don't know if I'd say easy.
It's not easy, but I think it's because it's memory muscle and it's what I love to do. I love technology. I love business. And I'm not like materialistic, but I just love this so much.
You love the game of it, right?
I know the game, that it happens naturally. I'm not saying it is easy, because I'm definitely hitting my downs and I hit my lows, but I love my lows. And I love understanding it and respecting it, because my lows help me to figure out how to get back to my highs. So I'm constantly going up and down, but I'm learning, because it's not like I have an MBA or I went to this amazing college that taught me this and this and that. Like, I'm literally putting myself out there. So when I have to learn something, I'm willing to get down and dirty. And that's how I came, like, when it comes to your store. Like, that's how it started off with Amazon, is because I was like, I know crypto very well. I'm creating these platforms. I'm trying to teach people about crypto. I know augmented reality, virtual reality, which I love. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to augmented reality.
Man, I can't wait to have that conversation, man. We got something to talk about there,
so,
bro.
I love all this stuff, but I was like, I can't take it back to people, because when I was trying to teach people about crypto, or when I was helping network marketing owners, like I would help them out, but then I would try to get my people involved, and then the network marketing company go out of business. Then I'll look like I'm frauding people. So I was like, what can I teach people that's easy? And I was like, that anyone can do, because I want to be able to go back to different neighborhoods and different places and make something that's solid for anyone to do, either from my mom to my grandmother to anyone. I want anyone to be able to do it. And so that's when Amazon came about, and I created the system. And I already knew all the gurus who already created similar platforms that were frauding people. And so I was like,
yeah, they're all gone now. There's like 3 of them went out of business just recently.
They're just taking so much money from people. I'm like, you don't have to take all that money from
10,
people.
15, 25K just to start an Amazon shop?
Yeah, 40, 50K, and then you got to buy more for supplies. And like, these companies just ran off with their money. So they're making these amazing content videos of them driving their Lamborghinis and Ferraris and all that stuff with the people money that they took, but the actual store owner wasn't making any money.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to reverse engineer this process. Called them all up. Hey, I'm getting into business. Oh, you are? They know it's a threat. Because whenever I come in, I'm coming in like to try to expose and make things right, because I like balancing out things. And so
like the Robin Hood.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. So I love it. But so I was like, I'm gonna figure out a way to help people out there. Like, you're charging way too low. You're gonna mess up the industry. I'm like, no, it's fair. Like, because if we're fair and give people the ability to win, then we're gonna grow a big database. You guys are making money quick, but then you have to find another customer, make money quick. I'm trying to grow a community and an empire, because we're not just stopping here in Amazon. We're going to build a lot of amazing things with our groups together.
I love that, man. I mean, you have, in social media, you've got, you got the concept of go out and get hundreds of thousands of people potentially to like and love your product or whatever, make them all these promises. Most of the time, those are scams. Make all these massive promises, and then you just basically cause yourself all kinds of problems. Yeah, you might get money in the front end, and that's fine. But if you can get 100, 1,000 people and like make sure that they know that you'll walk on glass for them, and you're going to do everything you can to help them win, which is why we're sitting at this table, that becomes a different thing, because now you have evangelists for you. You have evangelists that are about where you're at. Now you might not make maybe hundreds of millions of dollars, but you have a steady business that's going to go for a long time, that you're helping a lot of people and helping a lot of families. And one thing I notice about you over and over is like there's this little boy in you, right? It's a little boy that comes from Detroit that's trying to help everybody out in the inner cities. You have this little boy in you that's like, man, I wish I would have had these things, because you were talking about your nonprofit with technology schools that you're starting. If you're talking about all these different directions, it's all kind of about like healing that little boy, right? And so I know how much you protect your family. I know how much you love people. and it's like this reflection of all that. Like it's so interesting to me is how our businesses always kind of go right back to the places where that we were hurt or we had pain and we couldn't figure it out. Then we did figure it out and things worked out well. And we're like, damn, how many other people out there is in the same position I am in, right? Because after a while, the money is great, but that isn't the driving force anymore. The driving force is about impact, about helping, about creating communities. I mean, you've got conferences coming up where you told me the first thing is like, hey, we're doing this conference. It wasn't we're going to make all this money. We're doing this conference. And I'm looking for nonprofits right now that are in the inner cities that we can help with technology, that we can help with homelessness, or we can help with mainly, women that are single moms that have kids right now, or kids right now that are getting in trouble because we know they're too smart, but they don't have somewhere to go to take that energy and use it. That's amazing to me. Like, it's amazing to me that we can use our pain and our trauma and then do our best to recreate it so that those people don't have to experience that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think just like you're saying, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I found. It's like growing up in these different areas, they don't have the skills, they don't have the tools to do what they truly could do. Like, there's so much hidden, untapped potential in a lot of kids, period, no matter where you're from. But if you don't have those resources, then you can't get to that level. So that's like with my daughter. I made sure that she was in the best neighborhood. I strategically chose a school and her associates so like she can get the information that I couldn't get. And so like that changed the dynamic, the dynamic. And so I broke the cycle, like the generational curse, what they say. So
Congratulations.
Like, yeah.
That's a big deal, man.
Yeah. And it's still the beginning stage. I mean, obviously she's her own woman, but yeah, I think we need more resources like this. Like, if we start to see these people there's a lot of people in the world need help. And like, even when you see people today, like even adults as in normal situations, like our country is going through a huge shift and our world is going through a huge shift. And people don't know what to do, who to follow, who not to follow. So you find people following things just to follow. And that's one thing, not to get on politics, is why I don't subject to politics, is because everything that's happening, unfortunately, in this system, including gentrification, like you think about back in the day, they used to say, Detroit was like this, and they got gentrification came in, and people came in, and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's happening. They start off with this community, but now it's happening as a whole entire country. You can see there's a lot of money, like in Saudi Arabia, Middle Eastern countries, and China. They have so much U.S. dollars, and they're trying to break away through BRICS and stuff, that they need to flood the market. They need to get rid of these dollars and stuff. So they come over and they overvalue the homes, which is cool. Like, you have the right to do its own. So everyone's experiencing that same pain now. Or you look at the fact that, like, in communities like in LA, in certain areas, as a person that lives in these neighborhoods, like, if you walk up one street, there's all red, it's Bloods. If you walk a block over, it's all Crips. Another block over is a different nationality who doesn't like you. And then you all meet at school. And school's like a prison. And so everyone's there. Everyone's fighting. There's people getting killed. There's like, it's crazy stuff.
To go to school.
But red versus blue, and then now you look at politics, it's just a bigger stage. You have people willing to die over a color, over I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat. It's red versus blue. They use the psychology on a small community of people, and they took it to the entire to everyone. Because now you can have a friend that says, oh, you're on the right side? I don't like you. Or if you're a Democrat, this means that you're like that. It's like people are not using their minds. So we need ways to bring people back to understanding and, giving people real things to follow, or helping people understand themselves. Because, I mean, people are just lost right now, so they're looking for leadership. So they don't know what to do. So I don't know how,
so is that
how
why
I got
you're
into that. Yeah, I think ultimately, like, I just want to give a different perspective of who we are on this planet and what we can do. Because on this planet, we do have infinite possibilities. We have infinite abilities, but you have to recognize that first. And once you recognize it, then you can be able to use these things. So I think we're moving into this new world that technology is becoming a big thing, right? Technology is moving super fast. In the 90s, we got to see where it went and how fast. Like, in the 90s, you would never be able to tell someone, you'll be able to see someone on the phone or a device, because you didn't even know, across the world.
It was like Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
Like, I remember like thinking as a kid, I was like, that'd be so cool one day. And then you're like, wait a minute, or Star Wars or Star Trek. Like, all these things are happening and evolving with, whether it be like we talked about AI or virtual reality or augmented reality, or, I mean, we go on and on about what's changing and shifting in that. And I believe because of what we're doing here today, I'll be bringing you back and forth, and we'll probably have a lot of conversations about technology because you are so much on the forefront of this, whether it is through your, your intuition, your study, your travel, whatever it is. I mean, you're all over the place, like studying these things. But the reason that I challenged you, I said, listen, you get to come out of the shadows. Like this has got to be, if this is what you're going to be about, and you really feel like this Amazon store could truly help people, and here's how it's going to work, and here's how it's going to happen. What I want to do is, instead of being behind the shadows and saying, okay, let's just try this out, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I want to show people that this is what's occurring. Now, I'm not showing anybody the numbers we're going to show them because it's nothing that's like, oh my gosh, Dalton, this is hundreds of thousands of dollars. But this is a reality business. You first start it, you first build it, then they come, right? You put your time in, you put your energy in, and it comes. But first and foremost, we set up the Amazon store as far as got a legal entity, built it, put it all together. And then your team from there basically is now taking it over, and we pay them a small fee every month. And then they manage it, they run it, they look for products, they do all these things. But I think from what I remember, what's our return we're seeing on it right now? What percentage is it?
15 to 20%.
So like 15, 20% every single month on that money, right? Like I don't know what the products are. And nor do I really care because I know that these are products that people are buying every single day.
Yep.
And people are buying on Amazon faster than they ever have before. And I recognize that the world is shifting and changing with robotics, with AI, with so many things, with potentially UBI, meaning universal basic income, that I think people are going to have something. And majority of people's jobs, if they're just working a job, like they're not getting paid a whole lot. It's just enough for them to survive. And I hear people say, hey, Dalton, it's great for all the things you're talking about, but I don't have, $100,000 or $1 million or VCs or loans I'm going to take out on a business. And the things you're talking about are great, but I just can't do them. And so when you and I had that conversation, I was like, I'm going to challenge you. Why don't you come out to the show? Let's show the numbers publicly, and we'll do it every month. We lose money, we lose money. We make money, we make money. But the reason I want to do that is because I am so sick and tired of seeing people online specifically, like, here's a new hustle you can do to make money. Here's another hustle you can do to make money. And I was the individual for many, many years, from infomercial, buying books on how to make money and placing small ads to trying to figure out how to sell on all these different all these things. It gave me knowledge, but more and more, it gave me more and more failure. And so I stopped believing in myself after a period of time. And when men or women, when we stop believing in ourselves, we put ourselves in really dark places. And then you have to pull yourself out of it. But what I want to do today is talk a little bit about that business model. And again, I want to clarify this. I have no idea where this is going to go for the future, but I want to make sure that people can see the real numbers so that if it makes sense in the future, that we can publicly say, hey, this worked for the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months. If you're interested, you can apply because you're only going to be able to do so many on a monthly basis. This is not something it's like a click of a button and you have an Amazon store. There's a lot of work that goes into it. But because of the integrity you have, and because I know your goals, I know the people you want to help and why you want to help them, I think this is a good place for people. Right. I think it's a place for people that they can actually win if they stay patient. And if they're not trying to just pull money out, quickly, but they use it as a way to slowly build it up like you would any other thing. And so I want to say that the fact that you called me and said, Dalton, what are you doing with your store? When you could have just said, cool, money gone, no big deal. And it's not like you're making a ton of money on this. So just the fact that you did that, I have never had anybody ever do that. And so when you did that, I thought, there's something about this guy. Like, I want to meet him. I want to talk to him, and I want to see what is going on here. And then after we built the store, all of a sudden my email is like, another purchase, another purchase, another purchase, another purchase. I'm like, what is going on here? So it's real. Like, it's actually working because there's so many people on Amazon and Walmart and TikTok and all these other places. They're all consuming and they're buying things, but they're not just buying things like, some fad thing. These are things that people buy every single day, whether they go to a Walmart or whether they go to Home Depot or wherever they go, they need these products. And so you have found a way through algorithms and your technology to understand a lot of the algorithmic, I can't even say the word. Thank you. Yeah. ways of being able to determine what someone's going to buy and what they're not. And so
Right.
you have a whole process that you do, which I would love for you to jump into that a little bit, and then we'll jump into the numbers.
Yeah, so pretty much the interesting thing is like when I called you, you were like one of the first beta testers, right? I was
Yeah.
like, beta tester, jump on board. I realized if I wanted to create a successful business, then I have to use the skills that I already know. And what most people do is they just sell it. Like I can market and get a bunch of people on and like, of course, say I could do this, say I could do that, and then all of a sudden it fails. But what I wanted to do was start off with a beta tester group. The beta testing group included yourself, it included my mom, it included my wife, it included my daughter, it included my family members, and like a few other people. It's like 10 or 15 people that I knew and trusted. And I told everyone, this might work and it might not work because the people that I was talking to that already had the information, they didn't want to give me the information. So I was like, I need to learn this myself. And so I wanted to learn what not to do and what to do. So during that process, my mother's store got deactivated. And it's so funny because before it got deactivated, I was like, I first hired a team to do it, outsourced, their agency. And there was things that I seen that wasn't correct. Like even when I had some of the people talking to your assistant, and that was one of the break-offs because it was just frustrating. And even my mom was like, I don't like the way he talks. He's fast talking, blah, 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 blah. So there was things that I seen.
That's exactly what my assistant told me. She's
and I
like,
was
these
like,
guys, I can't deal with them.
yeah, and I was like, and I seen that. Then I was like, but I couldn't make a move because this is the first stage. I was like, okay, I got to learn. I got to see what they're doing. So I learned their process and I reverse engineer, and then I finally got rid of them because they were just saying anything. They were buying stuff. Like some of the stores were working well. We're getting notifications. They're, oh, don't worry about that. So I had to learn this stuff myself in order to know. At first I was thinking, let's just find an agency. They can do it for me. I shouldn't have to think. I should just, I'm going to hire you because you're great at what you do. You do what you do great with, and I do what I do. But unfortunately, I started to realize, like, no, if I really want to make this successful, I got to truly learn it myself. So I went through that first stage. I figured out what the profits, how it worked, all that good stuff. Then I started hiring different VAs. During that same time, I'm building my software because I realized all of these companies who are doing really well, what are they not doing? They're not adding technology in it the correct way. They were just using WhatsApp and they were using like Telegram and stuff like that. I was like, I love software. So I'm going to get together with some programmers and make a really good back-end system to the point that, you know, you can communicate with each other back and forth like it's a social media platform. I wanted all the business owners to be able to talk to each other and talk about results and stuff. I wanted to be transparent. I wanted the VAs to be able to have a gamification platform behind it so they'll know how good they're doing compared to other VAs, so they'll know how to step their game up. I wanted a tipping mechanism that if the store owner thinks that this person is doing good, you can always tip your employees to make them work better. Like all the things that I've learned over the past of how to build correct systems. And I wanted everyone to be in one location because I was thinking, like, if I'm a business owner, like if I own Starbucks or whatever, it would be dope if I just had one main dashboard. So I created like a franchise dashboard that, you know, you have this dashboard for you to go in. So I've been working on that software, figuring it out. So then I learned all the ins and outs. I was hiring people and I just really started to figure out every single component of it. And I was like, man, finding hot products is the key. So I figured out a way to find the products better. I started dabbling with Amazon's API. Amazon has a seller API, which allows you to pull all their metrics and see what's selling, see what's not selling. Makes it easier for the store owners to see their dashboards and stuff like that. So I made this involved with the software. So everything that I've seen as a professional that's been doing technology for a long time, I took what the so-called gurus were doing in other companies, and I just merged it all into one platform. So after I started to see that it was actually working, my wife's store was doing great. The other people that I seen was doing great. Like that's when I was comfortable with saying, okay, the beta group is now done. We finished the beta testing component of it. Now I can take it to a few other people. So I think that's one of the biggest things in business that people forget to do. Is like, first of all, you got to understand that you will fail and you will have to discover things. People don't know how to shift properly.
I love that. I love the fact that you said, hey, listen, I built this software. People failed. Like the people believed in me, they failed. And I wasn't going to let them fail. And I'm going to take my failures, I'm going to learn from them, I'm going to make it better. I'm going to find what people are doing really well, I'm going to make it better. Like I'm going to continue to evolve, I'm going to continue to change. Because most people, when they hit failures, they do what? They stop.
Yep.
They're like, it doesn't work. Instead of seeing failure as a way to like, okay, this is not a failure, this is a point in time of learning and growing. I mean, we've been building Pono out, I've been showing you. I'm going to launch, nope. We're gonna launch. Nope. This is gonna happen. Nope. Man. Every time it's just like you're almost like you're tested constantly. Are you gonna do this or you're not gonna do this? And you have done it. I mean, my store goes off all the time, and I'm like, okay, this is annoying. Like, how's that? Is that a weird thing? You're like, ching, ching, ching. That's annoying. I got work to do. So, what I'd like to do then is just show people the numbers, right? So that we can just say, okay, so what's today exactly?
Today is the 26th.
Okay, so it's the 26th of November, a couple days before Thanksgiving. And what are our current numbers right now? How much have we currently put into our store?
So far, you put in $5,000. There's a $5,000 wire that posted on November 4th.
Okay.
So as soon as the $5,000 wire came in, we had the supplies. We already had some supplies in our warehouse too, so we started immediately. So since then, Amazon is currently showing. Should I show it up there? Let me see. Amazon is currently showing that your balance that they owe you is $2,600. So that was made within the first 2 weeks. So
Nice.
within the first 2 weeks, you already sold over 130 to 140 products. In fact, we slowed it down because there's like a faucet. So once you find a hot selling product, it would show, like our software shows, okay, there's 500. It's almost like keyword research with SEO.
Yep.
There's 500 people right now buying this particular product. There's only 5 sellers. Those 5 sellers total combined inventory is only 200. So that means that there's a deficit of 300. So that means that as long as I price it out correctly, as soon as I turn your store on, it's going to start selling. It just sell, 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 sell. As soon as I change the price,
I didn't look, man. When we first had this conversation, and then you came back the second time, I was like, man, I don't know, but something told me to take the risk, right? People, I invest in people mainly, and when I saw it, I was like, oh. But then when it actually happened, like I said, I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like I've never seen anything like this actually truly work, because there's something about humans that we kind of like, not that, and I know how to see them now, but humans like scams.
Oh yeah.
They like to be told that, oh, it's going to be easy and simple. But literally with the process, you send me the products, you tell me where to buy the products, our team wires that money, you then receive the products in the warehouse, you guys then move those over, and this is the process. Like, it's not some difficult thing. And then we send it to our team and they pay the taxes on it. So it's like, it's a really simple process. And what I like about this is that, you know, there's so many of us right now in the world that have a dream, a goal, a passion, or something to build, and they're always an excuse to get there. But potentially, and again, please don't like send messages to like, because he's going to tell you you can't do this right now, so you're wasting your time. But in the future, if it's potential where we see the numbers are where I believe they can be, that could be a possibility for our listeners, right? So right now I wanted to be able to go back and say, like, if it's 6 months down the road, because I think it's a potential. 6 months down the road, I want them to be able to look at this and go like, okay, this actually worked. And then we can show when it didn't work, because there might be months where it didn't work. But you can take those returns and put them into what the big passion is, like the big thing that lights you up, the thing that makes you want to like move. And so for us, we're going to take the returns and we're going to put them back into Spiritual Capitalists. We're going to put it so we can get, you know, either better production, or, you know, we'll pay for guests, or marketing and advertising, get the message out there, because I believe it's so important for people to see the reality of business than just this facade, right? Like the nice cars and the big houses and all that stuff, the facade of it, instead of like the deeper meaning behind what this is about, which is about making impact, and that your impact can be measured also by, you know, the profit that you make as well. Like, I mean, they go hand in hand, and that, you know, we can just do more good work and take people like yourself and amplify that message. Because if you want to help all these people out there, you know, we're a small channel at the moment. I think we have like 3,500 like viewers. I say that today, and eventually I'm hoping to say, we're an okay channel. We have 300,000 viewers, right? And we're continuing to grow, but we're going to take these returns and we're going to put them back into the business, of course, right? Back into our store. And eventually, which I think we're going to do next month, we're going to amplify that by much, much more. Now that I've tested this out to see how much more we're going to push it, and then see what our returns are from that point.
Absolutely.
So
and that's
it's going to be fascinating to watch.
Absolutely.
And this is, you know, no BS. Like, here we are.
Yeah.
So people can see.
That's one of the main reasons why I created the Amazon structure, is because I like the fact that Amazon is paying the people directly. So it's not like we're holding your money or doing anything. Amazon is paying you directly. I like the fact that we're creating a real corporation for you. LLC. Like you're going to have your real business. I like the fact that we have tax professionals that's going to do your taxes. One of the biggest things people have problems with are taxes. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to write it off. They don't know how to do all this stuff, but we have tax professionals on our team that's going to be able to take care of that. So when you come on and we get people involved in these systems, we have everything set up for you. We help you set up your LLC. We help you do your taxes correctly. It's money in and money out. If a person has money and you're just sitting at the bank right now, you're making like 0.5% in your savings account. Like when you decide to put money in Amazon and we find the right products for you, you're getting 15 to 20% return on your money. Why are you just letting your money sit there? So that's how it was when I was involved in crypto. I kept telling people, put your money in crypto because crypto is going to grow over time. It's an asset. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. People didn't get it. People didn't understand it. So now they're starting to see. What I'm saying, the same thing with Amazon. This isn't a new business. This has already been here.
Been around for a long
It's been
time.
around for a long time.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to, what I was able to do was take something that's already been around, has already been tested. We already know the buyers and how people buy. Like during COVID, that was one of the biggest times people spent money was through on Amazon. When they got their stimuluses, did they invest money? No, they bought more stuff. So by being a seller and finding the right products, now your money can grow.
Yes. And I think the thing that we made a mistake on years ago, I had an Amazon store that was in Europe, and we had a brand called Cartel Revolution, which was aftermarket accessories for GoPro. Now, we're fighting against China. Every time we change our prices, they would change and so on. But the difference is here is you're not white labeling a product. You're not trying to recreate a product. You're not trying to, sell your crafts or your arts or your book or something that you have to create. You're simply giving people the products they're buying. No different than if I walked into a store, there's going to be someone that's a buyer there. They're going to look and see what's selling, what's not selling. They're going to buy it from that distributor. That distributor is going to send it over. It's going to go to the store. There's going to be a markup on it. The employees or advertising is going to sell it. And it's just back and forth.
Back and forth.
Back and forth. And there is obviously, and I know this in business, but I want to be very clear. I know there's no guarantees that we're going to see a 15, 20% return. And we'll see next month. We'll see. Where did we go? Because right now we're going to be entering into Christmas. We're slowly starting to add, we're starting to move up to there. Then we're going to move into January. Yes. So the month we're in determines a lot of this as well, I think. But we're not selling, kids' toys or anything like that. So I commend you for coming on and doing this and showing people who you are and what you're about. I'm excited to really have this conversation with you where we can dive in deep about where AI is going and where augmented reality is going and all these things, and we can kind of have this conversation maybe once a month, and we will because we're going to be talking about this. But have this conversation once a month where we can dive into different pieces of technology to educate the public out there what to think about, where to go, what things they're not thinking about, while we then also talk a little bit about the business side of capitalism.
Absolutely.
So, is there anything that you can any tips, anything that you could give people right now that are in the world and they're thinking how can I apply technology to my day-to-day life? Because technology is great, but if you don't apply it, what's the point?
The biggest thing that technology for me helps me to personally get through life will be the time saver. Technology is built to become our workers. Unfortunately, people worship technology. So when you have the creation of technology, whether it's social media platforms, whether it's programs, these people created these platforms, so it can kind of, I don't know how to say it, the platform can be used to make your life more simpler, but most people just consume. They consume it and become like the client or the customer of the platform. You start looking at technology as a way to save time in your life, look at AI as a way to give you your time back. Then you can start accelerating faster, whatever it is in business. Not too long ago, there was the Yellow Pages, and everyone swore the Yellow Pages was the best thing to do in the 90s until I started trying to tell people, no, you got to integrate to websites. No one wanted to do that. So if you pay attention to the technology trends, I'm not saying jump every time there's a new thing, but you need to very much pay attention to technology and where it's going. Because if you don't, you'll be left behind. The people in the 90s who didn't pay attention to actually putting their websites on, they were forced to do it. And now they were forced to get involved. You got to be ahead of the curve. Like when Netflix was out and they gave Blockbuster the amazing opportunity to be a part of this platform that everything's going to be aligned. Blockbuster was $1 billion company. They said, no, I don't want to be involved. We know what we're doing. What happened? It was an old technology by older people. So I think that it's important to utilize technology for what it's really created for. It's meant to be our slaves. We're not supposed to be a slave to it.
Ooh, that's facts. That is literally why we are building Pono AI, for that exact reason. Because I recognize that, and I see that technology is there to work with us, co-create with us, but we're not to be a slave to it. Meaning that we're not to be a slave to our phones, in our machines. But it's great. Like right now, we're sitting here. I'm taking notes without me actually having to take notes. Like it's doing it automatically, which is so wonderful. So, last question I have for you is, when you're no longer here, you know what I mean? Your daughter's here, your wife's here, whatever. What do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for the amount of miles that I was able to feed, the amount of people that I was able to teach, and the amount of people that was able to grow. And that won't be me as a memory. It would be my works. So I want my works to be remembered. So I want to create these schools for younger people to be able to grow and develop their skills and to be able to improve their lives. I want to be able to create these foundations that help women out, women that are struggling. Maybe they're a single parent and, they're getting in these bad relationships because they think they may need someone and they're they're going through these destructive patterns. I want to give them the resources and the things that they need to grow. I want to help out the young child who's running the streets that understand that there's something bigger that they can get involved in. I just want to be able to be the one that actually gives opportunity to the people that's out there. Money comes to me effortlessly, and the universe blesses me with the right connections and the people to be able to accelerate exactly what I need to do on this earth. It's only now that I'm awakening and I'm realizing that I don't have too much time on this earth. Anything can happen. I'm older now, so now I'm taking life more serious. So I know that the right connections that I connect with and the people that I align with and the vision that I have is now going to come.
Whew. All right, I have to ask one more question because that was so well put. It's like everything you have been telling me, the way that you wrap that up in a beautiful bow. Because money comes to you effortlessly, because you use technology as a tool to create with, what does spiritual capitalism mean to you?
It gives you the ability to combine both worlds together, and to be able to articulate it and understand it. When I say money comes to me effortlessly, it's funny because before I understood my own patterns, I used to have to lose all of my money in order to make money. So that's when I said I put myself in this dreadful cycle because it came so easily that once I have it, I get bored because I'm ADHD. So I will put myself in these crazy risks, right, that I had to take. So it'll be fun digging myself out the hole. So I'll be up like 500K and I'll take crazy risks and I'll be down negative something. In fact, I used to take banks and use their money. I would go negative, which I would never recommend this, but I didn't have money before. So I would go negative when they used to allow your account to go negative, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, because I already knew that I was going to be able to flip that money with technology, and then I'll go up 50K to 100K or whatever. But that was fun for me because it was like a challenge. Oh my gosh, I'm drowning in debt, and then boom, I make a connection or I make whatever. So I think spiritual capitalism is the ability to articulate, understand that the world is a big place. There's certain things that we can learn and understand on the spiritual level. And when it comes to money, money's very important, but it's not meant to take over us. So even when the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil, it's not money that's the root of all evil. It's the love of it because you're chasing it. When you're chasing it, just like if you're dating, if you're chasing someone all the time, you're not going to catch them. You're always chasing. So when you're trying to chase money, you don't get it. But when it chases you and you're the master of it, it comes naturally. And in order to do that, you have to have a good concept of your spirituality and your connection to the universe.
There's one thing that one of my mentors always told me. He said, I love money, but money loves me more.
Yeah.
And so I'm not chasing it. We're in co-creation as a relationship. And I'm not giving everything I can to money, but I am simply co-creating with it. And so, and it took me a while to lean into that feeling of okay, what does that mean? What does it mean to I love money, but money loves me more? What is that? And is that a co-creation relationship? Or how do we co-create together? Because it's just a tool.
Yes,
you know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
a tool that you're going to use. By the way, my challenge to you, because I love giving challenges in life, go open up your 501c3.
Yeah.
You have been talking about this. This is your dream. This is your goal. It's what you want to be remembered for. If you want to be remembered for it, go plant the seeds.
Definitely.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out here, man. I can't wait to be able to show next month. We're going to see where we go. And, this is going to be a seed that we're going to plant to help other people plant other seeds.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks, brother.
Thanks.
Cheers.